Welcome in, everyone, to the Challenge Aftershow. Today, we have a very special treat for you, and hopefully for the next couple weeks, we will, because we're talking about the Challenge Untold History, episodes 1 and episodes 2 today. And ladies, I don't know if you know this, but this is actually a 6-part documentary.
Did not know that.
So I looked it up, and what they're doing is they're releasing 2 more episodes next week. 2 more episodes the next week, which then will lead us into October 12th, which is the premiere of the Challenge Ride or Dies.
It's a good way to do it.
I figured out their little scheme that they're pulling on us right now. It's getting us just challenge every week until Ride or Dies, basically.
They've also coordinated it with,
of course.
Yes, it's perfect. Actually, it's great good, right
How
on.
crazy. These people are working so hard to pump out so much challenge content. And I wonder if it works for it or against it, because people have such short attention spans now. Like we talked about on a show a few weeks ago, like, is this going to keep me off my phone, right? Like, is this intriguing enough that I'm totally locked in and focused on this form of entertainment? Or am I also scrolling on Instagram, wanting to ask Google a few questions?
Well, tell us, Jenna.
So remember when we used to have to wait like 2 years for a new challenge season? And then you see the trailer, you see the preview on MTV, and it's like, everything stopped. Like I'd be in my house doing something, and then you hear like, TJ's voice is like, "Here we are in Argentina," and I was like, "What? Is that the challenge?"
That's true too, because like back in the day, we were just watching MTV just constantly, because there wasn't like you didn't have Netflix or Hulu or any of these other things. It was just you had cable TV, and that's what you watched, and you'd be watching like a random season of The Real World or something, and then they would premiere the trailer, but you had no idea the trailer was coming, right?
Right.
Like now with social media, which we knew this was coming. We knew 38 was coming. It was greenlit. We know 39 is now greenlit already. So like we know these things are coming. We never knew, and then all of a sudden we just pop on your screen, and you literally your stomach dropped out of pure excitement.
Yes.
And you're like, wait, yes, there's another one. I didn't know it was coming.
It was a different topic. I will say I don't like to know things before I see the trailer, because my family is huge challenge fans, and she's like, "Did you see the trailer?" And I was like, "No, I haven't watched it yet." She's like, "Oh my gosh, guess who they brought back?"
Right.
And I said, "Oh, Johnny Bananas. I think that was a rumor." She's like, "Yeah, how'd you know that?" And I said, "Oh, is it true Tori's with Devin?" She's like, "So you watched the trailer?" And I was like, "No, I didn't watch the trailer. Everyone just leaks everything online."
And, well, we had also talked.
It's hard to avoid.
We also did an after show about get people that we think are going to be on it, like the rumored cast members. We did a whole thing about it.
The cast came out. I mean, like we knew the official cast. All right, yeah. I mean, like
we knew the majority of the official cast. There's some of these new people, which we can get. That could be a whole other episode of 38. Some of the new people that are coming in, we did not talk about them, I don't believe.
I think, I don't know, whatever. But I've been, as we were discussing off camera before, I'm currently unemployed. And I've been watching Pluto, the challenge, like 24/7. Yeah. Really, like it's all that's on in my house.
Pam's house is like the newsroom of the
challenge, right? It's like 10 screen, right? No, but seriously, like now it's really nice out, but like that week that it was the heat wave, and it was like 115 degrees when I got back from New Jersey, and it was literally like too hot to go outside. Like I came back and I was in the house 24/7 watching, and I was like, I can't believe that we used to have to wait a week, because it would be like during a gauntlet or whatever the hell they're in. What are they called? The elimination. They would like cut. Like when you were mid elimination, it would go to like next week, and I was like, oh my god! If I had to, I've already seen it, and I don't know who wins, and I can't wait. And if I had to wait a week, like it was just a different time. Like I don't think you could do that now. They'd be like, to see it, then good look online. Like you could not make people wait a week to find out that kind of thing. When it's like.
They do it. They do it occasionally still on the challenge, though. They will make you wait that week if there's some. But majority of the time, they do like the sum up. They do the full circle, the full story, as we like to say, in one episode. They don't make you.
It is so funny you said that, because I watched the doc last night with my husband, and when they did clips of who won which season, if it's a really old season or one that I haven't watched in a while, and there's some that I've never seen at all. Like they brought up the winners of Cutthroat. They say you see a clip of like the red team coming up, and I turned out, great, now I know who wins Cutthroat.
No, my shock for that was.
spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Right. I just watched Cutthroat, so I know about it. It is so fun watching it. I mean, like, it is, there's people I forgot about, people that now I've watched Are You the One? So Brittany and Adam are on a season, which I watched in real life, and I had no freaking idea who they were. And now I know. So it's great. And I have to say, Zach has always been a scumbag. Like, it is painful to watch the way he treats Jonna. Like, this is ex's partners, and I'm like, it's like hard to watch. Like, it would not be, it's cancelable nowadays. Like, just he's called the women swamp donkeys. Like, he's just so horrible. And I'm like, it's funny though, because Bananas is not that awful. Like, watching back, I'm like,
maybe on that season
people over. There's a few. I mean, I've been watching a few. It's been a couple of days of watching Constant Challenge, but not that terrible. I mean, does bad moves, but isn't a horrible person. Like, nothing he's doing is like offending me.
I think with Bananas, if he's decided maybe he doesn't like you for whatever reason, then I feel like he can get a little bit of that, like,
yes,
bullyish mentality where he just kind of, you're always wrong to him. Like,
and
I don't know.
He does control a mob, like in all these seasons. Yeah, a mob. And I do have
it's hard to get back into his good graces when he's kind of decided, like, this person is whatever for this reason.
Yes, you're right. That is a good observation. And that's more in old, like, he doesn't have any like active enemies at this point. Like, he's friends with Jordan and the one I'm watching, like, they're working together, and Johnny and Avery. It's all these people that I forgot about that I love. It's just great. We can get into this one.
Hot take on Johnny Bananas. His first season on the challenge, he gets eliminated the first week, if you remember.
Yes!
So if he were
she's with Darrell and she goes home really quick. I'm like, it's amazing.
And that's my point though. So say you have a Cara and a Johnny Bananas in 2022. My point is they might never appear on the challenge again. That's my hot take. If they appeared later in the world.
Yes. So Dan, that's always my point too. When you talk about like Michaela, you're like, Michaela, do we need to bring Michaela back? And I'm thinking maybe, because we almost didn't have Cara Maria or Johnny Bananas.
Yeah, and that's my point of when I say those things, I'm saying it like you're never going to see these people again because of the state the challenge is in right now. And the fact that they're bringing in people from all over the world now. It's not just, the problem is their cast people, where they casted from was so small. It was a little pond. Right. Now it's the ocean. So you don't get to give people a second chance anymore. It's a whole.
However, to Jenna's point exactly, they asked Michaela to come back to this season. She was asked to come back to 38 with, I forget his name, and she like has a job and stuff and was like, I can't, and he's mad at her.
He got mad. I don't want to just call him out. I think he's the gay black guy. Is that bad to say that? But
I don't know, but that's who he is.
I believe that's who it is, who got mad at her.
I believe his name is Corey Lay.
Oh,
there it is.
I'm like, yes. But yes, that's who it was. So they wanted her to come back and him to be her partner, and she was busy, and Corey Lay got mad at her.
Right,
so
there you go.
A minor scandal. It is. I just gave in to stopping because it was ruining the show for me. Big Brother live feed, like getting all that information, because I'm like, I don't want to know who won all this stuff. But
exactly,
it's like it was literally before I discovered Pluto the challenge, and I was like, I don't have a lot to do right now. And,
so
like, literally,
thank God for Pluto.
Thank God for Pluto. I'm telling you.
It's so fun to go back. It is so fun.
Well, and that's exactly what this documentary is, ladies. It's a way to go back. A lot of the scenes they showed, I said, oh my God, I remember, like, it was so fun to remember things. Cause you're like, oh my God, I would never have thought in a million years that I could remember something like that. You show a quick clip. How about when CT is screaming at Easy in the final, like, you better run, he's yanking on his chain? I was like, oh my God, that did happen. Like, it feels like a dream, but like it did happen. And Jenna, you brought up Cutthroat and seeing the winners of Cutthroat. You were like mad because you found out who won. My shock was like, oh, Dunbar won a final?
Right.
That was my shock for that.
Dunbar, but I forgot about Landon, who was like a big.
Really?
Like I didn't forget about him. Like, I know he exists, but I hadn't been.
He was so dominant in his seasons.
He was so good, like such a nice guy.
Yes.
Like, I just watched a season where he was partnered with that girl Siobhan, who was a fresh meat.
Yes.
And they won. Sorry, spoiler alert, Jenna. And they
That was 2001. How dare
and, like,
you?
she was such a funny wild card too, because she was like not, and it was against Laurel. That was the seat. Like, it was a fresh meet with all these people. She was like not the athletic one, and she was the last pick, and he got her, and they won. And like, she did well. I have to give her props. But like,
was that fresh meet number 2 though? Because fresh meet 1,
fresh meet 2.
I thought Darrell won fresh meet 1 with whoever he was.
No, Darrell fresh meet. Oh, fresh meet. Darrell and Cara Maria were partnered her first season, and they got eliminated very quickly. And I was like, "What?"
I thought I saw Darrell win with someone on fresh meat, but maybe I'm wrong. I saw it in the documentary.
Season on the documentary, which was Road Rule. He might have been on it was the first.
Anyways, I saw them collapse into the final. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
It's so good though. Like, and again, it might be from lack of stimulation, but like definitely tearing up. Where you guys like?
But Pam, I want to say something on the point that you just raised about Siobhan. I feel like that was one of the elements of the challenge that the fan base appreciated.
Yes,
that you weren't all CrossFit, Instagram fitness influencers. You didn't have to be somebody who was a complete Ironman, well-oiled machine. You could show up and be a drinker and be a partier and not really give a shit about like fitness or kind of like the trajectory of your life, because at that point you might just be 21 and you could still win the challenge, or you could compete, or you could find things
that's the thing too. Producers were looking for people that wanted to party and wanted to get into mischief and wanted to cause a scene and wanted to cause drama. They don't want that so much anymore, and I think that's a big issue. But
I mean, I was like, they did like it was still like a 12-hour finale of like, I'm like, you still are doing a lot of shit. And you see her literally, she's like, okay, like she's lost her mind at some point. Like, I don't know if she's dehydrated, but he's like, we have to keep going. And she's like, yeah, like literally she seems like she's like not there. He's like, I'm looking in her eyes and like, there's nothing there. And she's just, it's like still it took a lot out of you. Like the final, even in those days, it's like you want to get to a final. They talked about this, and you want to get to a final. It's like sometimes you don't want to get to a final.
Ladies,
so sorry.
No, Jenna, you go.
I just wanted to say some overall things. I think, we could give our overall opinions over the doc before getting into all of the tiny elements of it. I was really surprised about how much I liked it. I didn't really know what to expect or what to go into it with. And my first knee-jerk reaction in like the first 1 minute was like, wow, this is going to be really dramatic.
Because the black and white.
They have
this intense music. They have Anissa saying, you will never do anything in the world like the challenge. And I was like, oh my God, this is so dramatic. But then you get into it and it was so entertaining and educational and insightful about the history of the challenge. I loved the players that they had involved in this, that they had the originators, the executive producers, a cinematographer,
the set
designer. But also I was like, wow, they really did their work on this, because they have some journalists, some people in the entertainment journalist world. And I thought the archival footage was amazing. And it was really fun how they integrated history and what was going on in certain
to give you context. Like, this is the age of Brittany and Justin.
Yes,
I liked that too.
I love that.
They threw a lot of dates in, which was nice. Like what year things were happening, because it's hard to remember what season. Like I was like, oh my God, wait, Rivals didn't premiere until 2011 when I already lived in Los Angeles. I swore that was like a nostalgic childhood memory for me, but no, I was a 26-year-old just loving the shit, and like that's when they talk about how there's like different phases they're talking of the challenge. The phase they're in right now, we can all agree sucks balls.
So they're very aware of that, which is good. It's like, okay, so you obviously understand.
But like, to me,
it's like, wait, we wanted to see people that we knew, and people were like, those aren't real challengers when they brought in.
The super fans were funny to me because
we have to real quick. There's no one. I almost literally took to Twitter to talk about this, and then I was like, who cares? I don't even care. But I was like, I can talk about it with Jenna and Dan.
You're gonna say Kim K.
There's no one in the world. Kim K, go away. Kim K, go. That's all I want to say. Like, there's no one in the world that I give less effort to knowing anything about and know so much about. Like, that without me, it's like, now you're invading the challenge. Like, I can't not know so much about Kim Kardashian, and I couldn't care less. And I know so much about her just by living as a human in
right.
the world. And it is so weird. Like
that is so hysterical. You feel like she invaded your private territory.
Yes. Oh, like, I feel like
I wrote down fuck Kim Kardashian on my page when I saw her come
go
up.
away.
Oh my God, guys, this is so hysterical.
And I love I loved watching that Kardashian show. Like I watched all the reality shows, except not recently, but like back in the early 2000s, like I was rocking out with them.
Like I like
in 2004, 5, 6.
Not the Osbournes, Kardashians. Go away.
So I have a take on Kim Kardashian's involvement in the documentary, and I don't know if this was intentional by the producers, but it actually I thought I had an aha moment of. It's so subtle, but she's so relevant to being involved in this because she is the epitome of the phenomenon of reality TV.
Absolutely.
And that started with The Real World. So they talk about, as soon as she said, when I watched The Real World,
I want to be
my life, I realized that's what I wanted to be. And I was like, oh my God. Yes, that makes sense. And also I remember seeing an Instagram post from like 7 years ago that somebody
but
went
it's
on.
What you want to be on TV, like that's it. It's like that's what it's like.
Yeah, so listen,
it's not a profession.
It's a huge admission from her that MTV was like, yes, you just told us that the reason we basically made you want to be famous, and now we can take credit for you wanting to be on TV because of The Real World back in '92. Like that's a huge admission from her.
So this post that I saw basically said, why are women so obsessed with Kim Kardashian? And somebody responded and said, women are so obsessed with Kim Kardashian because really she was just a regular woman. Like, yes, she had different circumstances where her dad was a lawyer for a big time defendant, of course, but
celebrity adjacent.
There's a lot of Americans who have like lawyer doctor parents. Sure, that doesn't mean that they're just going to all of a sudden like shoot to fame and have like a huge following, but she was by all means really just like a normal woman who became famous for being nothing out of the ordinary. She didn't have to hone a craft of becoming an actress. She doesn't have to be a songwriter. She didn't have to learn an instrument. She didn't actually have to like mature skills for her fame. She just became famous. And I feel like a lot of people in our era just want that simple fame. Like they don't 100%. Want to work for like a craft. If you think about it, you're telling me I can have cameras follow me around as I get lattes and talk shit with my friends.
See, but that's it's a misconception though. So because she became famous, it actually is like mind effing everybody else in the world thinking that they can get what she has. It's like a 0.0001% chance that you get that type of fame. And now everyone's striving for that type of fame, which is I'm just going to be myself and get paid for it and have no talent really, because let's say they owned their own baby stores right when they first started, but they had that money because their dad had the money to get them to have that type of, to be able to open up a store like that, to have the financial means to even open a boutique baby store like that. And then it blew up because their reality show.
Yes,
you can't achieve fame. To achieve fame like that is so damn rare. And
now people have a misconception of a moment.
That's
like,
the
no
point.
One can see that again, right? It's like like coming in at that time. Now everyone does have cameras on them 24/7, literally with their whatever, and it's like, right, but why do we want to watch you? You know what I mean?
Like, but that was the point about the post was like, wow, that's why people are obsessed with her, because they want to be that, but not everybody
can. Nothing hoe can like be someone that I know more about than the news or the president or what's going on in the world or the war. I know more about her life than anything I like try and learn about.
Yeah, like think about how much people might want. I think some people, they don't want to wake up and like hone their craft and like be stressed out about work. If you're able to just like walk around fancy stores and get famous from it and like go have drinks at a bar with your friends and get famous from it, like this really just simple level of fame, like people are envious of it. So I feel like that's the post was alluding to. Women and a lot of people are obsessed with her because she's just doing what they wish that they could have.
And I think to jump on what Pam said about Kim, it's almost like I feel like us three know so much more about the challenge than Kim Kardashian could ever know. And like, I'm a little not jealous that she's on this doc, but I want viable sources talking about the doc. I don't want her infiltrating something reality. That's so special to me in a weird way.
I agree.
I've invested 20 years of this in my life, and now she just gets to come on any platform she wants to talk about something that I don't think that she's knowledgeable about.
Yeah, get out. Like Jenna said, like, it's like, why is she at my bridal shower? Why is Kim Kardashian here?
Well, that's the next thing I want to talk about, ladies. Who are you upset with that they did not get to be on the show? I know that Kara's going to come up. Why did they not interview her? Maybe she didn't want to. But there's so many more names besides her. Coral's not here. I think that she's such a big starter of like the show from the beginning of it. Like there's other people too that I can name that I wrote down, but like who are you? I don't want to name them all. Like, is there anyone else besides those two, or if you want to piggyback and talk about those two?
I loved Jake and the screenwriter though. They were it's like a super.
Well, that's fine. Jake Johnson, whatever his name is.
Like
okay. I don't really. Again, I don't know how he talked a big game. Like he's a huge fan of the show. Yeah. Again, I don't know much about his knowledge, I
don't either, but it was cute. I mean, like that was a cute.
He made me laugh.
They're talking about TJ and that he was texting with bananas and got excited. I mean, like and the screenwriter, I forget his name, was like, I heard
like if TJ, like, I wouldn't want TJ to be upset.
That's with like us, like them being starstruck. I mean, like that's that I get. That's cool, but like him being like that was very neat to watch. I wanted to do that. Like I was like, get the fuck out of my TV. Anyway, okay, sorry. So who did we? So Cara, there's like scandal again. Everyone's like, why didn't they have her? She's the most like fuck MTV for not putting Cara. And I'm like, is it possible, people? Like, I'm Cara Liv's biggest defender, but like, is it possible she was just busy? Like they weren't like snubbing her. Like she was featured really heavily. Pauly was on it. I'm like, I don't think like she was like, no.
Oh, we got a little shot of Pauly. Pauly did do a confessional for it. So it's like
Cara might have just not been able to like come to Los Angeles the day they were shooting. Like maybe
because her and Pauly are just humping they're always humping each other. They were together. She's probably right behind the damn camera. Like if he was available, she was available. Let's be real. What is Cara doing now?
She's the mom from Mean Girls being like,
no, yeah. She has a life. Like
what is Cara?
Smile, Pauly.
Yeah, exactly. She's behind the damn camera. I'm sorry, but she's not doing anything. I don't know why she didn't want to be on, or didn't. She either didn't want to be on or didn't get asked. What's the more likely chance?
Well, here's the thing. I noticed that there were so many voices included. They interviewed so many people.
That's my point.
They probably interview them. Again, I don't know. I wasn't there. But I would think they probably interviewed them for like 2 to 3 hours sitting in that chair. And you see the smallest of sound bites from certain people. Like
there's also 4 more episodes,
CT was there, but I could have used more CT in the actual doc. They used
like more. Did CT get interviewed?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was like the first bite.
Yeah, he was the biggest bite. Hey, we're gonna get more of them all anyways. There's 4 more episodes. Like there's 4 more hours of this. We're gonna get more of everybody.
I would have liked for Evelyn or Paula to have been there.
I wrote both those names down as well.
And Sarah. They're so heavily like in the ones that I've been watching. Those people are a big deal. Like
now, the question is, did they use every single person in the first 2 episodes, or is Sarah going to pop up later?
Right, because there is. I don't know.
I looked at the name of the first episode is Dawn of an Empire. The name of the second episode is Evolution of an Empire. The next names are more like they're going to be doing like chunks. Like they're going to do a whole story on Diem. That's going to happen. They're going to do a whole story. So they're going to break down like individual aspects next. And one of them might be Banana stealing the money from Sarah. And to not get her 2 cents on it, I think is a huge missed opportunity. So hopefully they show her in a later episode.
And if like they don't have it, I'm certain they tried. I'm certain they reached out to Sarah. Like it would have just been so unethical to only have one side of that story. You know, whether she decided to do it or not, I highly doubt they wouldn't have given her a call. It was a historical moment and they need her voice in it. And she said no, but like you can't do a doc without the other person. I don't know. That's my take.
Yeah.
Back to overall, like, loved this. It's funny, I accidentally watched it backwards, which was fun because I watched the Evolution of an Empire and then I got like the prequel, which I was like, yeah. It was even like, then I got to watch the Dawning of an Empire, which I thought was better. The first part was really, really interesting. The second part was good, but the first part did off the phone grab me. The second part I liked a lot, but in terms of character arc and people, I mean, CT, Cara, and Bananas arguably are these just evolutionary, and Wes, you can throw in there too. The reason they're so popular, they are these evolutionary gold mines of humans that like we got to see like just change and have hero arcs and plots and twists and fall in love and get heartbroken and be bullied. You know, it's amazing. That's why we really followed these people through so much.
Right. And then we did get to learn about, and that's what they mentioned it before. Like we also got to know them casually to kind of get a feel like, do we want to see these people on another show? Like producers got a basic like opportunity to say, hey, do we want to see them on another show before they had to put them on another show? So like that's why it was so great. Like now with the show, you put them on to CBS The Challenge. They're coming from another show already, so people might want to see them more. But like the Challenge 38, we're gonna see 3 people, like new people this season. But I didn't watch the prior shows, so hopefully they're entertaining. I have no
idea. I wanted to hear from a production assistant or somebody very in a low level production position to hear about all the shit they probably had to do to make this show run.
Let's bounce around with that idea right now, Jenna, because we get to hear from a couple big players tonight, and one of the most controversial players we hear from tonight is the producer Justin Booth. A ton of stuff on social media from at least from the past couple seasons of cast members who aren't afraid to speak out because they don't care if they get cast in the show again. Leo had said something about Justin Booth literally from this season, and Tyson is not afraid to speak out as well. He don't give a shit if he's going to appear on another show of The Challenge, complaining about Justin Booth. And we got to see the man, the myth, the legend chat. He's got, I think, a Southern accent. Is that what I was hearing in his voice? Mm-hmm. I don't trust that guy as far as I can throw him. He looks like a bigger gentleman, so I can't throw him far. There you go. I didn't like as much screen time as he got. I was like, because I know all this supposed stuff that he's been doing. How did you feel about that situation? We also get into some of his stuff. And yes. I have one huge conspiracy theory on him coming up that we can chat about at the end of this too.
Okay. Well, that's okay. It's funny, Dan, you were obviously rubbed the wrong way by him. I think overall, because I like Danny Wask, I don't know how to pronounce, another executive producer.
Well, that's a different, but I'm not talking about him.
Okay, well, they were, overall.
They also had Ryan Smith. Ryan Smith was also there, who just did a podcast with Anissa and Tori a year ago.
So did Danny, was also on their, Danny was also on their podcast once. And he was, I don't know, I'm sure he's still working on it. He doesn't watch anymore. Like so this is the executive producer that doesn't, he's like, CT, I haven't watched lately. I don't know how involved these people are in they might just be credited as executive producers and not as involved as they were.
They interviewed the crap out of them in this documentary. They better be involved with this. Why are they being interviewed?
They're talking about the past too. It doesn't mean they worked on the last 3 seasons that Danny was.
Okay, anyway, fair enough.
My point is, you all should watch because it sucks. That's my point. It's like everything they're saying, these people get it. They're saying they get it. They created it. They know what we want. They know what we like. They know what we don't like. Watch your show, guys, because it's not good anymore. That's what, like, my biggest takeaway was, yeah, you guys obviously understand. I don't know if at this point it's a cash grab and you don't give a shit and it's going global and Viacom and who fucking cares, and you're going to cast these international Instagrammers and no one gives a shit, but they understand clearly what makes the show good and what we want. So,
well, for example, The Island in 2007, they tried something different. They realized it didn't work as well as they thought, and they gave us back what we wanted in 2008, which was, well, the Duel 2 was 2009, but something else. Maybe that was the next one that came out.
They went back to
the Duel 2 was bomb.com. So why aren't you, take your medicine then and give us something different? 36 and 7 did not work.
Yes, agreed.
Anyways,
I don't
Jenna,
know if they don't care. They have a bigger plan. There's something going on. It feels like those past 36 and 37 felt honestly like a fuck you to the fans. And they did give us, give us all stars to like mitigate that. And now they're giving us Ride or Die. I think they just had to unleash this international platform for the CBS. Obviously, it's business.
Yeah, maybe it's above their. Maybe some of that's above their heads. Like they're coming. Hey, sorry, we have to cast all these international stars because CBS is already owns MTV or whatever. Viacom already owns all these people. We got to put them together.
with doing the CBS version, they had to, and they're going to do the internet. Obviously, the business somehow, I don't know if it was above their heads or they're in on it or whatever. It does seem like they're trying to give us, they do, I think, get it. That's my point. So it's like, watch your dumb show, because those 2 seasons sucked. Everybody hates it. You obviously get it. Like, they obviously understand what makes the show good and what we like and what we don't. And so that,
but the producers you're talking about are no longer working on the show, right?
So
Justin Booth is.
Justin Booth is the executive producer, but who knows how. That's what I'm saying. Like, Danny was saying, and I'm not that we're friends, but I don't know his last name. I can't pronounce his last name, so I'm just going to call him Danny.
That's fine.
On his interview, so I don't know how involved, but he's like, I haven't watched the recent season, like the past 2 seasons, but isn't
just so weird to me.
Executive producer?
Yep.
And then Ryan's
interesting.
But when you create it, you might get called the executive producer still on credits, and not like Justin Booth. I don't know how much his involvement. He created the thing.
Well, so him and TJ are apparently boys. At least that's how they made it sound in this documentary, how much they love each other. So years. I think he's on. I think Justin Booth's on set. Plus, people have been complaining about him for a couple years now with the way he's treating people and things of that nature. It's all over social media. If you go and just, it's a dark web you can get down to people saying that he's doing these like not so nice things and treating them in not so nice ways. So I don't know much
a lot about it, but didn't Leo say he's like, I've never been on a show where the producer doesn't show up. Like, Leo said he never was there. He wasn't involved at all. Like,
okay, well then maybe he's not. But at the same time, why is Leo saying, or a cast member said from this season that some producers or someone was stealing their clothes when they put them in for laundry? How can someone steal their and like taking their nice clothes? Like, isn't it the producer's job and the people, the crew's job to not allow things of that nature to happen to the contestants? Tell us in the comments below what you think of this Justin Booth stuff. But there's more than one interview where cast members said from this season that someone was stealing their clothes when they put it in to go to the laundry. Only the expensive clothes, they'd never get it back. So it's like, why am I bringing expensive clothes to challenge? They're stealing on my life. I know I've heard this.
I believe you, but it's super weird. I don't know what that means.
How can you allow that as a producer to go down?
Is stealing their clothes. Like,
that's they do their own laundry, so they would take
they submit it to be done. They submit it to the crew or whoever's in charge of laundry.
It's really hard not to theorize that theft would be involved, but also like. I never worked on the challenge, so I want to preface that I have no idea what it's like to work on that production, but I have worked in television production for a decent chunk of my career now. And honestly, shoot days can be chaos. That production can just be absolute chaos. And sometimes I wonder if it's just an example of like disorganization or like just things getting lost.
Or like the laundry guy. Like, why is it?
I've never been there. I'm not.
I didn't say it was a producer that did it. I'm saying a producer should be on that when a cast member comes to them and says, "Hey, my $100 whatever got stolen."
No, but you're handing a bag. It's like being at summer camp and giving your bag of laundry to who knows who gives it to the laundrette or gives it to. It's like that chain of command. It's not a police report.
I've done a shit ton of D-class movies, and I'm with Jenna. Production is sketchy as hell and it sucks. And there are good eggs in there though, because I remember being on sets where it's just like so unorganized and so like the day is like, you guys are treating us like cattle. But there are good eggs and they're coming to me and saying, hey, is there anything I can get? Dan, I'm so sorry about this. Anything I can do for you? You know, blah, blah, blah. I know things aren't going the way it's not done. But the majority of the people there are trying to just get their jobs done and things are slipping through the cracks left and right. So it's hard to say who's to blame, but clearly things are not going well on this production. And with the final, Tyson complained about how crappy some of these conditions were, how their clothes were wet all night and they should have been given fresh clothes because the next day when they went into the freezing cold, literally the clothes like froze to them and they could not perform. They weren't even, where are their gloves? They had no gloves on their hands. Like, give them dry gloves. These things were not taken into consideration going into that.
That finale was a shit show. I mean, like that.
But isn't that the producer's job to be prepared for that? Especially like veteran producers like Justin Booth, who saw a flood come into their set and tear it away. They know things happen. They should be prepared for this stuff. That's all I'm saying.
The thing is, sometimes there's so many moving parts that it's really hard to prepare for something you can never foresee. So. And again, I've never worked on the challenge, so I can't speak to what their production is like, but it could be very possible that it's understaffed and there's not enough kind of people on set, or people are wearing so many hats and they're working 15 hours a day. Like you said, they're trying to get their job done, that there's not really a point person for if the laundry went missing, and it's not totally like,
I gotta give a better, I have to give a better example. You ladies are really
no, we're harping on that.
Laundry.
No,
there's more that goes down than this.
No, I know. I'm saying for all of it.
This is a recent thing that I heard. That's all I was trying to say. It's a recent thing that just happened in the last season.
But things went wrong. Well, the thing that okay, I'll pick up a bigger craw in my jank in my wheel. So we don't know, based on what we saw, if Sarah timed out of the Sudoku, if what, like, there was this whole, they were like, what was the time? Was there a time?
Well, there's a bigger issue. There you go. That's a better issue to talk on.
That's one that, like, literally, I don't think they had a rule, because they're like, well, we wound up quitting, and then, like, a little while later, they're like, okay, Sarah, you timed out. Like, it's like, when was it going to be the timeout? They should have fucking told us. Like,
well, that was the complaint. Was like, well, then we should have been able to time out in Sudoku. If Sarah really did time out in the shape one, the hexagon weird shape one,
right,
then the other team would have timed out already above.
Yeah.
And Sarah should never have won. But when TJ made that big thing about the beginning of never being able to be timed out, it's like, well, then God, you have to stick to that.
And then they all timed out of the dirt moving thing that Angela chose not to participate in, which I do think she should have understood to some extent. But again, you'd think a producer would be like, so you're quitting? Like, I'm going to understand.
And then I also heard rumors that they went.
It was a shit show. It was a shit show.
I heard rumors that producers went into her tent that night and said, are you sure you want to do this? We really feel like. So that's what, that was another rumor that was on. There's so many things going on the internet right now. So who knows what's true? But the point is clearly the rules were not.
They were willy-nilly.
They were willing. They should have been set in stone. Like, what? Like, this is what the rules are, and then do not change them for certain people, because they never did show Sarah finish that hexagon thing.
No, she never did. They said she timed out, and they were like, well, why didn't we time out of the Sudoku?
Boom. And there's just so many
and then everybody timed out of the dirt thing. Like, basically they realized it was too hard at some point.
No.
And we're like, okay, they finished it, but no one else.
And then they just let people, however far they were, finish in second and third place. That is correct. Yes.
So that is another, it's like, it seems like they made those decisions up on the fly, which is
never
really
a good
shoddy
sign.
production. Yeah,
it's really shoddy, but I think one of the issues here is the weather that happened and took place that they were not prepared for and they did not foresee. And they probably have contract obligations for the crew members and the producers that are working, and they can't be abusive towards those people either and have them work longer hours and all of these obscene weather elements that are happening.
Tell the cast, we're timing out. You've got 3 hours to work on this Sudoku.
But listen,
3 hours you're not going to get it. Like,
I also think that in television right now, as we see, there's so much content being pumped out. And what that means is there's incredibly limited time to pump out this television. So I think that, unfortunately, they had to still finish a reality TV show. It's shady, it's sketchy, and they spent a lot of money on it. So what else are they supposed to do? They can't really stop the final and try to do it again a week later or tomorrow. Like, how are they?
But I agree with Dan that producers, it is their job to then go that day, you know what, it is freezing. We've got this Sudoku thing. We have to follow through with it. Let's make it a 1 hour, whoever does the best. Like, then adapt to the circumstances. I understand that you have to be adaptable, but adapt and make up a new rule or something. But you can't just be like, I don't know. Like, that's your job to know. That's the point. It's like, well, figure it out. Decide how you're going to make it work and make it work. And also the other controversy was that they were saying 500,000, and that was a split. It wasn't like your share of it, because they always say the end prize, if it's for million, but it's teams.
And I had mentioned it when we did our challenge after show, and we as an audience learned that not only did they have to split the $500,000, the top two people, But also, if you finish the challenge in 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th place, you got to keep your bank account, which would then have deducted from that 5,000 as well. So the top 2 people that got 250 are actually going to get a little less than that, because the other people have to get paid their 10K, their 20K. If Tyson had finished, I think he had like 25K in there. That's off the top of that 500,000 too. So even less money. And then what they take out for taxes. Oh my God.
Right. Like, you think you're getting $500,000 and you're getting like maybe 100, maybe.
Hell. Like, I'll take the 100,000 though. Yeah. Like, no, like whatever.
And that leads to, it is from the Pluto and from the documentary. Someone had a great line on the documentary. Like, I used to eat people's faces for like a Best Buy gift card.
I know.
They really changed.
Which is why I think I'm okay with them only getting $100,000.
No, but it was so much more fun when that's what they were getting, because the stakes were different. They were not getting $1 million. They were not getting life-changing money. They were getting under 100, and it's like, yeah, that's great for sure when you're in your 20s, but like, you're still gonna have to have a job.
All right, so I pulled up what Leo said about Justin Booth, because I just like to read it to y'all. It's not that long at all. All right. Okay. So he slams Justin Booth. His hashtag was fired Justin Booth on this Twitter, Instagram. I don't know where he posted this. He goes, here goes. This is quote unquote Leo. The definition of entitled loser. Justin Booth never ever came and talked to us ever, but he was the one making all the decisions. What kind of producer runs a show but doesn't talk to any of his cast? It makes no sense. He also said the person responsible for not getting his business calls was shithead Justin Booth. He blasted the executive producer as an idiot and shared, ask anybody. Nobody likes him, old cast or new. So
well, that's interesting. I'd like to hear from more cast members too. So when you ask about him being in the documentary, I basically was just curious as to the hierarchy of the producers. Pam, kind of to your point, like in what terms is he the executive producer? Yes, we did see an image of him on set, but was that one day? Was that one series that he was on set for?
Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly. So
I would say he's very not hands-on, but they're saying he has made
technically his responsibility. Like, there could just be a whole different set of tasks and responsibilities for each producer title. So I'm just curious as to like the extent of what it is that he's supposed to be doing, as well as everybody who works on the show. So I basically was just curious, and I don't know, he seems, I don't know, on the doc, I was like, is he maybe just like super stressed out? Because he didn't seem like totally relaxed and comfortable in the interview chair.
And I got more than on that. Here we go. Ready for this one? I got a big great conspiracy here. Do you remember at the end of the second episode, they mentioned that the finals are getting so hard and they can't even like finish them because they're so crazy. And Justin Booth talks about Wes. And he goes, at one point, Wes collapsed on the ground and his leg is like in a total muscle spasm.
Right.
And this is quote unquote Justin Booth. He said, and his partner had to carry him up the hill. Justin Booth wouldn't even refer to his partner as Kenny. And I don't know if that's a liability thing, if they're not allowed to talk about Kenny anymore, but I found it very interesting that even in the documentary, which is clearly, we all knew it was Kenny that carried.
It said Kenny on his butt. I mean, like,
it said Kenny on his butt. That Justin Booth decided he made a conscious choice to not use Kenny's name because he knows who Kenny is. Kenny appeared in like 8 seasons of the challenge. Let's be clear here. He used partner. He would not say the name Kenny.
I have some answers was interesting for you on that because I just watched that season, and I was like, I like Kenny and Evan. Like they were really fun. I didn't hate them as much as I remembered not liking them and thinking they were bullies. I kind of enjoyed, again, it was an isolated season, but I was like, what happened with them? So Tanya sued the network.
Well, we know this though.
Well, so Tanya sued it, and they had to, part of the legal, settling out of court was they would never work with them again. So I'm assuming they're like literally unmentionable.
That's my, like, they literally can't even mention their names at this
point. I guess like they can't, it's just like they can't.
But you caught that too when he said partner and not.
Oh yeah, everyone was laughing. I mean, like it's like has his name on his butt, but right. I think also his point was like, and his partner had to carry him up the mountain. It's also, I did get in the context that the whole point was that his partner had to carry him. It didn't matter who it was. Like,
I wonder, are they going to show?
Too, and I feel torn on more information about that coming out, about the Tanya situation, because I would like more information to come out about it, because I want the people who are accused to for it to be proven and consequences to be laid down if it is true, because the fact that they're never allowed again makes us think that it's true. But for Tanya's sake, for her to heal and stuff, I don't know if she'll want all the specifics and all of the details out there in the world.
And
I don't think they're allowed.
If that's why, then that's totally understandable. If Tanya says, I don't want you guys ever to mention this again. I do have questions coming up with this documentary, though. Are we going to see crazy Camilla? Are we going to see Camilla? Are they going to show her throwing chair? Because she had an issue that came up about 6 months to a year ago on she was like licking her baby or something like that, and there's a whole thing with that on her. You didn't see this on her Instagram?
Licking her baby?
Licking her baby's face to get the chocolate off her baby's face. Come on,
it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, who cares? Right.
Okay. Fine. But then she also had some racist comments as well recently. So like my point is, like, are they gonna show her? She was a huge part of the challenge. But like that's the thing too. But so were Kenny and Evan. Like,
but that legally, I get. Like, if they've had a court case where,
but like, are they going to mention any controversial things?
Are they going to mention any?
Are they going to talk about Dee? Are they going to talk about that was a huge controversial thing with Dee? They cut her out of the damn season. They put a thing up at the beginning of every episode about her. Like, things of this episode had to be cut for certain reasons.
They're going to have to address these.
Are they going to show the dark side of the challenge? I really hope they do. Like, it's such a missed opportunity to mention, to talk about that stuff again and to get that out. Like, but they might.
It would be very cool if they were real and upfront about it. But the fact that it's on an MTV platform, I don't really foresee them going down that road.
Really?
I don't either. I don't. Unfortunately, I'm with you, Jenna. They won't.
I feel like they have to address the evolution as they are now, like 2020 pandemic controversy, like you can't ignore history.
If it was documentary, if it was a documentary that was on a different streaming service, I think producers of past or maybe even present would be open to just talking about it from their point of view, and then whoever is creating the documentary can choose how to tell that story. But I don't think on an MTV platform that they're going to shed any light on the controversial aspects of it, because this seems to be an overall very fun documentary.
It also says the untold history. And I bet some of it's going to be left untold. And to your point, Pam, all we saw was Kenny's butt tonight, and he was referred to as a partner. So no, they're not going to get into anything on it. But that is something
that there's an active. I mean, that I'm going to take as a different situation than what we all know and live through.
They didn't interview. They didn't interview what's her face, Camilla. They didn't even try to interview her. Why didn't they interview her?
They didn't even ask her. I guarantee it. It's funny, I forgot.
Yeah, I mean, Camilla, Camilla, but also she has brought a lot of problems to the challenge. Not only her racist attack on Leroy, but she's also physically assaulted a production member. So
they brought her back. So that's the other thing
they brought her back after the racism, but they didn't bring her back after punching a production assistant.
She got banned for being a liability because insurance would no longer cover her because she assaulted.
Yeah. So I think in that case, why would they invite her back to do an interview about her time? I mean, I would understand that they're sitting there like, no, we're not going to bring Camilla back. I think if they were going to mention her, they would have done it already, because they're in now the mid 2000 seasons where she was very relevant. So I just don't think it probably would have been talked about already if they were going to include her. I think they're glazing over her. Honestly, it went over my head. I didn't.
Me too.
She was entertaining as hell, but it's not like I felt like I missed her in the doc. But Dan, I'm glad you caught that, because
I just watched her and was like, oh, Camilla, she was so good. I just watched the season. Her and Bananas were partner when she first went insane. And my other observation, sort of irrelevant, sorry, but Bananas I'm watching a season where Nani loved him. These women, what did he have the magic ding dong? I'm like, why did they like him so much? He had
it would and they were just his magic ding dong.
They were crying, and he was a good friend, and he was like, I'm sorry, and they were like, I know, I just like you more than you like me. There's nothing really to.
Yeah, I mean,
it was sad.
I remember when Nani had a crush on him. Of course, I remember that. That was a big.
Yeah, Camilla did, and Nani too was crying, and he's like, we're partners, and I care about you, and I want to work with you.
Oh,
this is when he had a girlfriend for a long time.
By the way, they haven't mentioned Jordan yet. No, Jordan. They showed him crash. They showed his big crash of when he was skydiving. Remember that when he crashed to the ground? But He still did he still compete in that final?
Yeah, he won. Win. He won. Yes, he was in it. And he won.
He won after falling. I thought he got like third because he was like still kind of injured.
No, I think him and Tori won. That was when they like first got together. Wasn't that Dirty 30?
Tori has never won a final, so it couldn't be her.
She won that one, I think, with Jordan.
She's been to a final, but she's never won a final. Remember, because we were hoping this.
Maybe
we thought she got robbed by Casey. That was going to be her first final win. I thought. Jenna,
I don't know.
Right now, first, Jenna. Please, Jenna, look it up for us, Jenna. We're missing it. Oh, and by the way, I was so pumped they got the Miz though. That was really excited to have the Miz in there especially for the earlier on episodes. The next thing we have to talk about, unless Jenna's ready with that information,
not yet.
I can find it too. I want to talk about TJ. I think it's a huge thing. I remember him coming back for Rivals. I don't remember, and I remember him going into a coma, but I don't remember them ever talking about the fact that he had to come back from that, like literally learn everything all over again. I didn't realize it was that deep. I just thought he got in a coma, he woke up, and he said, "Hey, I'm back." I didn't realize he had to freaking learn everything. And when he came back on the show, I didn't realize he was still kind of messed up. Like he was kind of walking weird. As a viewer back in the day watching Rivals back in 2011, I didn't remember any of that. I remember everyone being super pumped he was back because of the coma. I didn't remember he was struggling with his words still or feeling lightheaded. I didn't know it was that much. So I don't know if you ladies read it the same way or
and I really appreciated that part of the documentary because he has such an inspiring story, and seeing him, I had no idea that he had to learn how to walk again, and seeing his body move in that way and him change was sad, but again, inspiring to see how much he grew and to see that you can come back from something like that. And I think that was the first really like in-depth look into what TJ went through, and that's part of them living up to their name of this being Untold, because that footage, all of that stuff seemed to be pretty sensitive and private, so I appreciated that we got to see it.
That was the most moving. I mean, that was incredible. That was crazy that Leroy's there watching it. He's like, we were doing the shooting of something, like watching TJ do it when the fall happened, and they're all like, yeah, we thought he hurt himself, we didn't realize what we were witnessing. And then they show that close-up footage, which is traumatizing to see, because you see him seize, like you literally see his like hands
with his arms the way they were just on his body,
right? And it's like, that's like, and Tina or someone tweeted like, that's a brain injury. Like when that happens to your body, like you can tell then that brain damage has happened when you like clamp up like that. And they're like, God, watching it is heartbreaking. Yeah, it was like him throwing a ball and like, how much money is this? Like, it was just like, and now it gives so much more gravitas to his like, don't quit. It's like, oh my God.
Right, which is like, okay, I always knew TJ hated quitters, but like, is this is such another level to a nice wrinkle or layer, as they say, to why he hates quitters so much.
Right. It's like, well, he didn't quit when he had to learn to speak and tie his shoe again. So like,
but you're going to quit because you're afraid of heights. Like, get the heck out of here. Hey, I got the information on Tori, unless you have it, Jenna.
I'm on Challenge Wiki, and I do not see that Jordan and Tori ever won a final together.
They went to the finals in Dirty 30. They made it to the finals. They did not win. She's also been to the final of War of the Worlds 2 and Spies, Lies, and Allies, but she's only been to finals on those 3. No wins. Just
correction though. So on Dirty 30, I see that Jordan is the winner and Camilla is the female winner. So
that's fine. So Jordan did win a Dirty 30.
I think they probably had to be partnered together in a leg or two. Like
so Tori completed the final, but she did not win it.
Yeah.
But that's like when they fell in love too. So like I remember.
That's fine. I mean, they're again another great showman set. I hope that they show all of it, and I hope they showed they broke up too. I hope that they show all of that stuff. I want more on that. And then obviously Spies, Lies, and Allies, we're in for a treat just to see them. I mean, we know that they're not back to,
Rachel in the doc.
Rachel's in
it. She's amazing.
She's a huge part.
Did you watch this or no, Pam?
I did, but I've been watching it and Pluto, so now it's like my head's all sort of jumbled. So much.
Rachel is so great in it. And
I have a thing about Rachel I want to talk about.
Okay.
When in episode 1, I thought it was so interesting. I watched Campus Crawl, which she was on with Darrell and everybody else there. I had no recollection of her invading the Las Vegas, which is one of my favorite Real World seasons is Las Vegas with Alton and all those guys.
Yeah.
Guys and girls. So the fact that she invaded, she handcuffed Steve to the hot tub or whatever. I have no recollection of this. I love that that's when they started to intertwine Real World and Road Rules before. Such fun behind the scenes stuff, but I have no recollection of that, and I wish I did, but I'm glad I didn't because I got to find something out new.
So that's her. Okay, that was on the documentary, not on the TV, when she's talking about being at the MTV, sitting in the green room. She's like, I just wanted to sit with the celebrities and drink.
Yes, all in the documentary.
Yeah, Rachel's great. She was wonderful in the documentary, and she was great in the show. I've been watching a season of her. That's why I'm like, Rachel on the brain. But is that?
I love that archival footage. Rachel looked amazing. I love seeing everybody kind of in their youth when they're just running around, and it's so funny. Veronica looks amazing as well. The Miz, the footage of when they did a toga party on the season that had the huge hurricane was fantastic and really a cool historical look back on it. I love them pulling up clips from all of those seasons and then also talking about the evolution, like all those small steps that they made. For example, the fact that they had Mark and another cast member hosting the show, I never knew that. And I loved how they talked through how they quickly realized they needed to change that.
Yeah.
Brought in Jonathan Mosley, who I always remember. And it's funny because I like him. Of course, like TJ is the challenge now. He's the face of the show. But I almost feel a little bit bad for Jonathan Mosley because I feel like...
Yeah, why are you referring to his full name?
Jonathan Mosley.
Well, I thought that they referred to him that way. That's how I know him. Johnny Mosley.
Yeah.
Okay, so I always liked him as a host. But it's funny though, I guess like a few seasons in, they were just like, nah, new face.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad because they just like glazed over that with him. They were like, yeah, he was great, but we had to move on. So
speaking of Jonathan,
wasn't that great to you, the producers, if you feel like you had to move on from him.
Speaking of Jonathan Mosley, do you feel bad for David Mira?
That
is the weirdest next in line, and he got like one season maybe.
They didn't talk about that on the documentary at all. Like these are things.
Pamela said talk about it, and sorry, I'm gonna see.
What did they say about that? Maybe I was in the bathroom.
They said that Dave Mirra got like one season. They were like, Dave was never confident enough to do it. Apparently, that's what.
No, they said his schedule. He wasn't available.
And his schedule wasn't available. He also wasn't really confident out there because I think he talked with CT. CT's like, no, you're doing great. Or he talked to the cast member and said, you're doing great.
I did hear all this. I didn't remember them even saying Dave. They were saying someone didn't know if they were good, but I guess it was Dave.
That was David and Jonathan. And I'm looking up what TJ stands for so I can refer to him that way in a second here. Thomas Joseph also. He's our latest host of the challenge.
Thomas Joseph.
Latest and greatest. Yeah.
TJ is the best. So it was really interesting and good. Yeah, that was a very moving part of the documentary.
It just was funny that they kind of like glazed over Jonathan Mosley. I was like, okay, Johnny, he's in and out. Okay, goodbye. But I loved that they walked through the timeline of the different seasons and how they knew they had to innovate. And then it's interesting because subconsciously, when a season is special. Like we refer to the ones that we love, but we don't realize why. So it's cool that they kind of like trademark certain seasons that they knew were like more iconic or there was something about them. And they talk about rivals. And I just remember that's why I loved the challenge so much, was because of these amazing themes. And they have a theme where people who despise each other have to compete against each other. And like subconsciously, you're just like, oh my God, I love this. Amazing, amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
But it's cool to have the producer and storytelling inside look where that's something you actually, you have to creatively think of that idea. Like we just consume it. We're like, oh, that's so awesome. That's so cool. But they have to like throw out ideas and pitch things that's going to make compelling TV. And you don't know if it's going to work. So I'm sure there was a lot of back and forth about like how to make each season, and the fact that they thought of rivals and they landed on it and they kind of show that progression was, I really liked that part.
Yeah, I agree, Jenna. And like that, those are real, again, like we're there for the real, like CT and Adam hated each other. Like CT like beat him up, and then they really grow to be true friends by the end of it. So it is moving to watch, and I just watched that season too. But the other person that's very prominent in the challenge universe that we totally all glaze over that I like forgot existed is Jen. She was like a huge part of those seasons. She was paired with Mandy. and she was dating Adam during that, and she had hooked up with Rachel at some point on her season before then, like, and she was a big factor in a lot of like those years, and she's gone.
She was a firecracker for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So ladies, I wanted to jump on what you were saying about Rivals. I think like there's all these different eras that they talked about doing. I think Rivals on for like the next 6 or 7, 8 seasons, whatever it was, that might be my favorite era, because they literally, it was the smartest move they ever made in challenge history, and that is bringing in their real lives and having them have to work through those situations while competing on a challenge, which is why they call me Danny Drama, because that's when the drama got, I mean, obviously you have CT trying to beat up Adam in seasons prior, but like, wait, we can use this stuff and make seasons out of it. And from 2011, which is when Rivals premiered, I don't know, to 20, whatever, all those Rivals and X's, those 6, or no, they only did 2 X's though. So those 5 seasons alone, with other mixtures in of things that they tried to do, were probably my favorite time in the challenge. Although I did love the fresh meat stuff too when they did that. But what was that, 2006-ish?
I love fresh meat too. And just for clarification, what is the fresh meat spring break like that's where Camilla came from?
She's the only one that made it out of that one. That's correct.
What does that mean though? What is spring break?
I had brought it up in other after shows that we've done. Let me look it up for you just to give you the breakdown of it. But she's the only one that they used from that one thing they did. They did like a one-off of the spring break whatever. I'm trying. How the hell do you spell Camilla?
Camill.
I did too. Yeah. So she is from. She's a spring break. She was the winner of
that like a spring break MTV special, and
she is the winner of the spring break challenge. So it was when MTV used to go to spring break. They did like a challenge spring break thing. She won it, and they ended up using her in later seasons. But she's the only one that they brought over from that one-off special. They only
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that. To save my life, do not remember that spring break challenge. Nope, don't remember it.
It is amazing though, seeing just the evolution, and I like that they're doing that. We had the real world like new seasons to look back on to remind us, and it is great.
Also, something that I think is so crazy in all of this is being curious about how they pull these challenges and stunts off. So we see the one where they go to Las Vegas, the Space Needle, or is it
the Stratosphere?
Stratosphere. So it is Vegas.
Space Needle would be Seattle.
Right. So the Stratosphere, the fact that they have to jump off of it, and the producers talk about, we hired engineers, but it still is like, how do you test that properly? How do you know that
it was a world record? I'd be like, no fucking way. It's like, let's see if we can do this. Like,
I know. And that's why I think we always forget that like everybody is still a human, like I feel like a medical diagnosis from a doctor or at a hospital, you just take it at face value. You're like, the doctor knows, but how many times have they been wrong?
And it's never happened. I mean, they broke a world record. So, I mean, they might've broken it by an inch with the bungee jump, but it's like, I'm not fucking breaking a bungee jump world record.
No, but I mean, what, like, I don't know. You just assume that you get on a roller coaster, it's going to be safe. You assume you bungee jump off of this thing, it's going to be safe, but
no, it's terrifying.
I mean, they hired engineers, but God, it's just such a scary, risky, crazy thing that they did.
Yeah.
100%.
But you can't really trust that out a bunch of times. I mean, it's so unreliable and terrifying.
Well, speaking of scary and risky, they talk about the finals at the end of episode 2, and they talk about like the 2 craziest ones, which Wes says that Rivals 1 and War of the Worlds 1 are considered in the challenge world the 2 hardest finals ever to be completed or ever to be done. And I remember we watched War of the Worlds 1 at AfterBuzz. We saw people collapsing off bikes. We saw Ninja collapse off her bike. Who was the British girl that fell? Was that Georgia? Was that the same? That was the same one, right?
Yes. Yeah. That's
so we saw Georgia pass out. I mean, those seem like gnarly ass.
Yeah, I definitely can't disagree with.
Oh yeah. Well, Wes only brought up the one, that Rivals one, because he conked out. I don't think it was nearly as hard as War of the World.
Well, no, because Banana said it was as hard. Banana.
Oh, that was the first time they made it a double night, like that they had to stand on a rock.
Banana said to this day it's the hardest one he's ever been in. So if Bananas and Wes are saying it, I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm going with them on that.
But again, that's why the doc was so cool, because we're so used to things now. But for them to clearly show us, this was the first one that we needed a 2-dayer. This is the first one where it wasn't all done in one day.
And they didn't know it was going 2 days. And Wes said, like, Wes is so smart. He goes, I strategically planned out a 12-hour day for my energy, and I had nothing left the second day, and my leg literally was a giant cramp.
Right.
That's insanity.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
You wonder why they're so good too now. Like we were, CT always does great. Why is he so good? I don't know. Because he's got the most experience ever on these crazy ass things for 20 years. Like, how can anyone compete with him? Like, he has too much experience. It really goes a long way.
This show is so good at experimental television too, and just figuring out how to evolve. But I would like to see them maybe just cut this new format that they're so tied to.
They need to. You're right, Jenna. It's time to evolve again. What can they do though? They need it. It needs to completely change.
But I mean, would it be the worst thing for the next season to go back to maybe a more simpler final, like the ones of the past, where maybe it is just a day?
We've talked about that though. We've talked about how much we would love a race to the finish. Who can get there at the end? No freaking points. You're by yourself. And just, you have, like Banana said, it was used to be 6 hours on one day, point A to point B. Who's going to get there fucking first? Done.
Yeah, let's just mix
Knock it off with all the points.
They seem so tied to this new total system where it's just
we want everyone to be close, right, Jenna? We want everyone to get there almost at the same time. No, let someone destroy everyone else. I want to see a champion. That's all.
Yeah. Do something
Screw
different.
It. I don't care if we know from the start that Bananas is dominant. Like, I just want to see him do it.
I just want to let them know that, don't be scared to just do something wildly different this time around, because we've seen the format in a very similar way the last few seasons, and
we don't like it. Like they were like,
it's a well-oiled machine, but just try something else, and don't be scared to fail, because it kind of already is.
It already failed. But Jenna, we're talking. We're 39 right now, because I believe 38's already in the can. So now we have to just hope for 39. Maybe they do that, or have they done it? Have they done it for 38?
For 38,
I have high hopes too, but they might have the same. I think they're gonna have the same format, where you're gonna ride or die with them till the final. You're gonna work with them throughout the final, and it's gonna be maybe a point system, not a point A to point B, which team gets there first. I don't think they're going to do that, but maybe I hope they do.
I don't know.
I'd love to see it.
I have a question for you guys and for people watching to comment as we go down memory lane with this documentary. I was thinking about, if you could compete on one season of the challenge, what would it be? And I asked my husband this, and he gets so literal about things. He's like, but who's my rival going to be? Because I wasn't rivaled with anyone on the show. I'm like, in your real fucking life.
Right.
Let's just pretend your other rivals have been on past shows at the challenge. This is a hypothetical pretend question. If you could be on any season, what would it be? To get one shot.
Mine would be good guys versus bad guys, and I would be on the bad guys team.
Okay.
That's fun. That's a fun.
I like the big team. It's funny because when that season came on, I was like, guess I am a bad girl, because I was definitely team Veronica, like the bad girls. I was like, fuck those good girls.
Can I ask you a question, Jenna? Can I be your husband for a second and ask way too many questions for this?
Okay.
Am I single in the house? Where does my current state?
I don't even know how to answer that, because I don't want to influence your
what does it matter?
It does matter. Is it 20? See, I'm going to be like your husband. Is it 2022 or is this 2010?
Any season. This is pretend world. You just pick.
Oh wait, am I going back in time to?
Yeah, I'm going back in time.
So if I choose Rivals, it's 2011 now. Or are you saying just I go on a show right now?
I'm not going to be a 40-year-old on season Good Girls, Bad Girl. I'm saying I would be the age I was when that happened.
Oh, is that what we're doing, Jenna? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you guys again.
In my world, you can make up your own rules, Dan. I would go back to being
Yeah, it's
something.
It's like very vague. There doesn't need to be all these like specific nuances about it. It's just pick what season do you want to be on?
Because I'm also thinking of my challenge career here, and I'd like to do more challenges. And I think the best way for me to make this a living for myself, because if I ever got an opportunity, that's what I want for the show.
Okay, so here's his thought process. He's not thinking about the fucking theme or the
right now.
Do you want to be involved in?
Put me on a rivals or an exes, maybe preferably an exes, because there's just so much more that goes into that. Where am I going to get back together with this person? Am I going to hook up with someone else and piss her off? Are we going to work well together? And it's going to lead to them saying, that Danny Drama kid, he brings the stuff. Whatever.
Who do you think your ex would be, Dan? Who do you think you have a relationship with?
Wait, are you talking actual cast members?
You have to pick a cast member. Yeah, like who do you think your ex is?
I hope Jamie Chung would be
okay.
Would be nice.
All right.
Avery, I was always a fan of. Give me
Avery.
So
Avery
gorgeous.
was so cute. I just watched her.
Former Hooters girl, gorgeous.
Still Hooters girl. Current Hooters girl.
She's not a current. Like in 2022.
Current. She lives in Arizona. She's like Hooters for like. She's like literally still a Hooters girl.
Hooters for life. Give me. I'm trying to think of. There's other girls I definitely find attractive.
I love that Dan picked his answer only because of career longevity. Simply because of that. Okay, not because
100%.
Interesting.
Oh, wait, Jenna, why don't you give yours?
Jenna? Yeah.
Let's have Jenna give hers now after all this.
I've always thought it's been fun to think about what family member I would bring on Bloodlines. I always thought that was fun to just think about. However, realistically, I think it would probably ultimately be incredibly frustrating to be with one of my family members and have to like, I don't know. It could be amazing for bonding, or it could be like, God, this ruined our relationship. Fuck this. You're an annoying family member of mine. But I've always just thought about Bloodlines, and I feel like that'd be fun. Plus, I think the atmosphere of that challenge house was fun, and they got to go to a really cool European city in the final, which I thought was fun too, like Amsterdam or something. I also, what's the other one I like? Duel I think would be, that was like an old school simple games but hard games with a really good cast, so that one's interesting to me too, to maybe be on.
Duel 1 and 2, they never did a third, right? It was just 1 and 2.
1 and 2,
both those seasons.
I'm thinking 1 though.
Yeah. no Duel 2. No Duel 2. I don't the duels will be fun. Or if you just want to go really old school and do like Battle of the Sexes way back in the day, or Battle of the Seasons. That one, because
that was great.
That was great. So like I would do a Battle of the Season, especially if I was like really close with my real world castmates. That's fun because you have that camaraderie, especially if you got along together. You know who your do or dies are in that one. So Battle of the Seasons would have been a lot of fun.
Yeah, you guys are competitors. I'm like, I would definitely go kick it with Marie at the Redemption House. Like all of this, I'm like, I would never be able to really compete. So I'm like, I'd like to be in Trinidad and Tobago. I'd like to be like, I'm thinking of where I'm like,
that's another thing. Like location is huge. Like honestly,
house, I'm like, I would definitely want to like lay out, spend a lot of time in the pool.
If it wasn't for that like storm, the hurricane that went through Cabo on season 5, Battle of the Seasons they did in Cabo.
But the island Cabo's where they're starving, like that's the word. I'm like, definitely.
Yeah, the island. No thanks on the island.
Yeah.
But like, there's something to that though. You're really challenging yourself the whole season on the island, so there is something to that as well. But
I think that's still a cool season. But
I do too.
I like watching it, but I would never want to go on it. No, I want like one of those sick houses. I want to be on a team, so it's like, if I don't compete that well, who cares?
Yeah, I want a sick house. You're right. But what about just having a partner though? You wouldn't want to just have. You'd want to have a whole team.
Yeah, I'd want to have a team.
Well, honestly though, this is a great thing for the comments, Jenna. Like you said, in the comments, tell us the seasons you'd want to be on and be a part of. Remember, you're being a part of them back in apparently the year they aired. So think about that as well.
Where was Marie that whole season?
One of you guys made that up. It's just an interpretation.
One of us made that up. Yeah, exactly.
Literally, just pick your favorite season that you want to compete on. It doesn't need to be that hard.
What season now was Marie just like in a Redemption House the whole time? Like almost.
Honestly, as I remember,
another thing.
I
would want a Redemption House
season
because then you're still in it.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I want to get out early and kick it in the Redemption House.
Yeah. So we have to. So I'll choose that as another top 5 for me. Give me a Redemption Now season, because then I still get my airtime and I can still maybe become famous. You like that, Jenna? I'm still thinking about my future.
That's definitely. So, I would like to just literally kick it with Marie in that season. Like go. It's like she was there the whole time.
I don't want to kick it with Marie. No thanks on that. But I'll be in the Redemption House.
You did kick it with Marie quite a few times.
We went out to a bar with Marie. If you want to hear about that, check out our after show.
I was not prepared for the night that we were going to have with Marie. I had to have
I wasn't either.
I needed to work the next day, and I was like, oh shit.
We went out late with Marie.
I mean, we didn't
even. We called it a night, and she was like, this is it.
Like, this is it. I was like, Marie, I'm going home, but I don't know where you're going, Marie. Have fun. I don't know where she ended up going after that, but I went home.
Took an Uber to her aunt's house.
Oh yeah, I think she did take an Uber to her.
I remember things.
I remember karaoke with Marie.
Yes.
I remember Pam having a very good time with Marie.
I don't remember much of it, but yes. I remember some of it. I remember the overall feeling of fun, and I remember having to go get my car the next day.
If you're okay with me airing it out, Pam.
Sure. Yeah, I'm okay.
I felt like we were vulnerable to getting kicked out of the bar.
Oh yeah, and I had to get my car. Then I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember going and my car had a ticket.
It was a karaoke place. It was the karaoke place, and I
remember where
we got you a ride home, Pam. Who did we get to drive you home?
I drove her.
Okay. Someone drove. I remember someone had
the
to
next
drive
day, and I had
home.
to take an Uber to my car the next day, and I had a ticket on my car.
Wait,
and I didn't go to work. Like I was like, I can't. I like literally was like, I can't go to work, you guys. Like I can't. Like called in drunk. Like was like I got so drunk last night, I can't come to work. And one of my coworkers got me an Uber. Like I think I didn't. It was a mess. Yeah, it was.
Thanks a lot, Marie.
Thanks a lot, Marie.
I remember you like running around that karaoke place like a mad woman, and I was like, Pam's fucked. I said, she's gonna be hurting tomorrow.
It was awful. Like I remember it as one of the like all-time hangouts. You know what I mean?
Always used to go to that one place too, like 1 block away from AfterBuzz. We have to look up.
It was.
What was it called? It was that divey.
I gotta assume that did not survive the pandemic, that bar.
I don't know, but I have to wonder this.
It was thriving though.
Running AfterBuzz's Instagram, because they post every day. It's like who's and I was there.
AfterBuzz's Instagram is still going strong.
Yes.
I don't know who's posting.
No idea.
But then again, Ellen DeGeneres' from her show, The Ellen Show, that one's still going strong, and her show's been gone for. They just show because I follow it. They just show clips from the show. It's like it's over. Move on.
Shout out The Good Night.
It was the Good Night.
The Good Night. I believe it's NITE though. NITE is how they spell it.
And it opens if you are on Pacific Standard Time or live in Los Angeles. Pacific Standard Time, that sucks. You could be in Portland. It opens at 5 p.m. today. So
still it survived.
That place is awesome, man. They actually had affordable drinks in Los Angeles.
No, it was a fun place.
Wow, that's incredible to find.
And I love karaoke, and there's not a place here in Palm Springs that I know of that like is karaoke every night. You know what I mean? That's not like
I know The Good Night was karaoke that night. It's every night. I thought it was just once a week. I thought it was once a week.
Short. No, it's like a karaoke.
Yeah, I think it's a karaoke.
Oh, is that that's their thing? But I mean. That it's technically North Hollywood, but it's LA adjacent, and it's in case anyone really wants to go there and relive the night that we had with Marie.
Well, I also drove by, and all the AfterBuzz stuff is still up. Like, I wonder if AfterBuzz will ever reignite.
I think we would have heard if AfterBuzz is back up. Like there would have been a post.
No, it's not now. But I wonder if it ever would be, or if they.
I believe Kevin and Maria aren't like they're not even affiliated. They're done with it. I think. I don't even think they're like associated with it anymore.
Well, then it can't exist because it's there. I mean,
but they can sell it. They could sell it to somebody though. The concept of AfterBuzz can go on. Like they can sell the rights to it, and they can just reopen that studio.
Well,
I actually was just thinking about how unique AfterBuzz was, because I'm so obsessed with certain TV shows, and the others podcast on certain shows, but on certain shows there's not, or like they're not really totally episode breakdowns in like a detailed way that AfterBuzz did. And I was like, damn, that was awesome that they had.
It was definitely like a time in my life that I'll never forget. And it was very like special time. Like enjoyed going in there every week and hanging out with you girls and then just gossiping about this freaking show. That's all we did. It was great.
One of my favorite parts.
You guys are lucky, or Jenna, at least you are, where your husband watches the challenge. Like, you have someone to talk about it with. Like,
I mean,
guys are the only people.
Sometimes he's just like not giving me
right.
the convo that I need. I'm gonna clip this and send it to him.
No, sometimes I'm like Luke, and he's like, "Save it for Jenna and Dan."
That's funny that he refers to us for
I
it.
don't care, and it's fun because we care. We like care so much about this, and it's nice to be able to talk about it with someone else that cares about it.
Jenna, what were you gonna say about AfterBuzz?
Oh, one of my favorite parts was because I used to get so nervous before hosting a show. Like, it didn't matter if we had guests or not. I was just like always anxious. My favorite part was like after the show was done and I was like released of who I felt I needed to be on camera. Dan, we would go and we would write those dorky, stupid like YouTube captions. And then I felt like all of a sudden, because the cameras were off, I was actually like having fun with the and that's when things stuck out to me. I was like, oh my God, like if I just relax more, it would probably just be like an easier, more fun show. And maybe we would talk about things in a funnier light. But I always felt so like so nervous.
You also, when you were there though, Jenna, you were the head host. So you were in charge of doing the intro, and then the then the preview came up. Then you had to do the next chunk of it. Like, there was a much more relaxing vibe being next to you, like saying, I just get them, I'm gonna make up shit when she calls on me. But like, because then I took over the head host when you left because you moved. And there was that extra level of responsibility,
and I think I dished that off to you, Dan, because I was thank you, Pam. I can't.
Which I liked being the head host because I felt more important, but at the same time, there was a less relaxing nature to that. But then once I sunk into it, once I got through those 2 intros, I was like, I was fine. But you apparently, Jenna, the whole time.
Oh well, you're
the lead. It takes. You do have to run the show. Like, I mean, I came from work. I drove 2 hours from Culver City, got there, and then drove like, for me, that was like a 20-hour day, literally. So it's like, I can't have the responsibility, because you have to, it's more of a responsibility to run the show. Not like it's super big, but you do. That's pressure. When I did it, I was like, I can't like have it. It is hard to be the lead.
I was
responsibility.
I was incredibly nervous at first. My first show, I said something so idiotic because Anika was on it and she was a challenge rookie and Paulina was hosting. And Paulina was like, we have a challenge.
Anika. I feel like I know that name.
Yeah, she was on Invasions. And
did she ever come back?
No, and I think she only made it like the 3rd episode. But yeah, no, she was cool and she was great. Paulina was hosting and I was so just like on edge, tunnel vision, only thinking about myself, right? And we have an actual challenge competitor on our show. And Paulina's like, and we have a challenge rookie here. And I was like, oh yeah, it's my first time. I'm so nervous. Like thinking she's talking about
but then you could play that off though, Jenna. You should have played that off.
Like, okay, but we also have a real challenge rookie.
Oh no.
2 shows later, I booked Corey Wharton as a guest.
Good for
and
you.
Nobody else can come.
I watched your Corey.
You did a one-on-one with Corey?
Yeah. One-on-one with Corey, my 3rd show ever.
That's
nobody
badass,
else could go. And
you were good.
It was good. I was just like, I don't know what else to do. And then like a few episodes later, no one could come and we had no guests. So I did just me staring.
That's rough, because there's been a few times, Jenna, in our season where you and I just were together. There's no one else can make it for some reason. And we were all like, it's only the 2 of us. How will we come up with enough content? But we're just rocking and rolling. And we do 2 people shows here all the time.
Yeah.
And I remember I hit my groove and there was a wave where I felt like comfy and confident and like, I think I got this. I think I can make something of this. Like, let's make this show really great. We had so many guests. I was booking people left and right. And I felt like I knew what I wanted to talk to them about. And like, I was comfortable. And then I hit a wave where I was like blacking out before shows. Like,
oh my God.
Oh my God. Like when we had Louise Hazel, I remember Louise and Brooke Hogan being in our studio and how cool are they? They're so comfy and cool. Like, but I remember when they're like, okay, Jenna, 3, 2, 1. I was like, I'm going to fall over. Like the world black out. And I was just like, hey, this is Jenna. And we're at AfterBuzz TV. And I don't think anybody else maybe noticed, but I was like seeing stars.
I think it's mostly in our heads as performers. Like if you flub a line when you're an actor,
oh my God, I was
like on a stage, no one knows but you, because you've been doing this for 3 months. They're there one night. They're here to see a show. They're not noticing unless they are a fellow actor that's that deeply involved with that exact script. They don't know what the hell's going on. They're just enjoying the show.
Oh my God. And then I felt like it was all downhill. I was just so like anxious for every show.
Yeah, that sometimes happens when you have that one moment where we flub something. It becomes your thing where you think every episode now you're going to do that, and it gets in your head. It does suck. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we did a great job breaking this down. I'm excited for next week. I hope that they talk about Diem. I hope they show her storyline and that thing with CT. I'd love to hear some more. I'd love to hear more behind the scenes. Maybe CT has some stuff we haven't, some unseen footage, or just some stuff that we don't know about Diem, like just some nice things with that. So yeah, someone's blowing up.
All right, and my battery's gonna die. I guess that's okay. Yeah.
All right, we'll see y'all next week. Please comment and check out our Patreon soon, because we're doing Big Brother, the final Big Brother. So all right.
Bye guys.
See ya.
Bye.